Okay, let's unpack this. So picture the scene. You've just landed somewhere new. You're feeling that, travel buzz, maybe a bit tired too. You get to your hotel, bags and everything. That moment, you walk up to the front desk. It's pretty key, isn't it? What are the words you actually need?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a crucial first step on any trip. And doing that in a language you're still learning,
Yeah.
that definitely adds another layer.
Totally. And that's really what this deep dive is all about. We're digging into some source material that's designed specifically to help English learners, well, feel more confident in exactly that situation, checking into a hotel.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to kind of pull out the really important vocabulary, the key phrases from these sources. The idea is so you can handle that check-in smoothly and maybe even understand if things take an unexpected turn.
And the scenario that the material uses is perfect for this. It's not just a simple, hi, here's my name, give me a key.
Yeah.
No, it involves having a reservation,
Hmm.
but then hitting a bit of a snag, a small problem, and then something actually quite nice happens.
Right. Okay. So let's start right at the beginning. You walk up to that desk. The main thing you need to say is that you want to, well, check in. That's the phrase, isn't it? I'd like to check in, please. It basically signals I'm here, ready for my room.
Exactly. That's the starting pistol. And once you've said you want to check in, the very next thing they'll need is your details. How do they find your specific booking? And this is where the source material really highlights a super useful phrase. I have a reservation under the name.
Under the name. Yeah, that
Yeah.
phrase is so important. It's like the key that unlocks your booking in their system, right?
Precisely. It links you, standing there, to the booking they have filed under that specific name. Getting that simple phrase right just helps the staff find everything quickly. It smooths the whole thing out. And the sources mentioned this isn't just for hotels. You might use it for, say, a restaurant booking a reservation under the name Jones, or maybe event tickets, things like that.
Makes sense. So, okay, you say you want to check in, you give the name it's booked under, and in the specific story, the scenario and the source material, the clerk finds the name Anthony Roberts. And they say, ah, yes, Mr. Roberts, we've been expecting you. Sounds like it's all going perfectly at this point.
It does, doesn't it? Smooth sailing.
Yeah.
But then comes the twist that the sources focus on. The staff member gives him a key card, but mentions it's for the presidential suite.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Anthony Roberts, he was just expecting a standard room. That's what he booked.
Ah, okay. And his reaction is important. It shows he knows something's off. There must be some mistake.
Yes, and the staff member checks and then replies, there seems to be a mix-up.
A mix-up. Okay, so what exactly does that mean here? How do the sources explain it?
Well, they define it pretty clearly as just a confusion or a misunderstanding. It's when things get, accidentally jumbled or swapped. Not intentional, just confused.
Right, a mix-up. And that's something that could happen anywhere, really, not just hotels. I think the sources gave some slightly more dramatic examples just to illustrate the point, didn't they? Like luggage ending up on the wrong continent or...
Yeah, or even that hypothetical hospital mix-up, which is thankfully very rare. Hotel mix-ups are usually much, much less serious.
Definitely. Phew. Okay, so in this particular hotel scenario from the sources, this mix-up, it's directly linked to the next important term they highlight, overbooked.
Overbooked. Now, that's a word you hear quite often, especially with travel flights, hotels. So what does it mean, according to the sources?
It's actually pretty straightforward when you break it down. If a hotel or, flight or maybe a train is overbooked, it just means they've accepted more reservations or sold more tickets than they actually have rooms or seats for.
Exactly. As the source material puts it, they are more than full. They've promised more capacity than they physically have available at that moment.
And the material notes this isn't like super unusual. It happens. Businesses sometimes do this, expecting some people won't show up. And it's the reason for the mix-up in this story. The hotels overbook for the standard rooms. They just don't have the specific room that Anthony Roberts booked.
But, and this is where understanding the situation gets, well, potentially quite good for the traveler. An overbooked situation can sometimes lead to a positive outcome. Which brings us neatly to the final key phrase we pulled from the sources. Complimentary upgrade.
Ah, complimentary upgrade. Now that sounds promising. What's the definition there?
The sources define it as getting a better room. Maybe it's bigger, maybe it has a nicer view, or like in this case, a much fancier suite. But the key is, it's free. Complimentary just means no extra charge. You didn't pay more for it.
And what's really interesting, and the material points this out, is that these complimentary upgrades often happen precisely because of situations like being overbooked. If the hotel can't give you the room you paid for, and it's their issue, not yours, well, instead of just saying, sorry, we're full, They might offer you a better available room at no extra cost. It's a way to fix the problem.
Exactly. Like getting bumped up to the presidential suite when you only booked as standard. The dialogue that the source material includes really captures that feeling, doesn't it? That surprised woohoo
And
moment.
it really does. It shows these aren't just, vocabulary words. They describe actual things that happen to people.
And the sources even included some anecdotes about this happening in other travel situations, like getting upgraded on flights, moving from economy to business or first class because the flight was overbooked or maybe for some other operational reason.
Oh, yeah. I remember the example about the train upgrade in India somewhere. And wasn't there one about a flight Shanghai to Qatar, where someone just got upgraded sort of out of the blue? The detail about getting a five-course meal in first class, that definitely makes an impression. It really shows how knowing these terms helps you understand these unexpected, sometimes fortunate travel moments.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's just quickly recap the main terms we've looked at from the source material. There's the basic action of checking in,
Right, and making sure they can find your booking under a name,
then understanding if there's some kind of mix-up.
which might happen because the hotel is overbooked.
And if you're lucky, that might result in getting a complimentary upgrade.
Yeah. Knowing those words gives you a really solid toolkit for that first hotel interaction. You know how to start, how to give your info, how to understand if there's a problem like overbooking.
And, crucially, how to recognize when you're being offered something good, like that free upgrade.
And I think the real takeaway here, the interesting angle from these sources, is seeing how something that sounds like a problem, like being overbooked, can actually flip into a really positive experience. Getting that complimentary upgrade to a fancy suite, it kind of makes you think, doesn't it? How just understanding the language around these unexpected travel situations can sometimes, well, open doors, maybe even